Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Spicy Bookish Podcast with me, Nikita.
And me, Tia.
Also known as Ginger and Spice. Okay, this podcast is going to cover our reading wrap-up, and it's actually going to be for the month. So last year, we were actually doing these... We were doing these every 2 weeks. We were doing them every week. Yeah. I think... Yeah, we were doing them every week to begin with, and then I think we were like, oh, let's switch it with Zodiac Academy because we were putting a bit too much pressure on ourselves. Yeah. So then we started doing it every 2 weeks, and then the end of the year came, and my trip came, and everything just went to shit, really. There was zero organisation.
Oh my God, it was terrible. We just gave up with Zodiac.
Yeah, we did. We read book 7, we were like, no, we read book 6, and we were like, should we just end it here for the year? Let's just stop.
Let's give up for now.
And then try again in 2026. And we are ready to go with that. Anyway, our wrap-up sort of dwindled away into the ether somewhere, never to be seen again. Here they are. We're back. So we actually do monthly reading wrap-ups on socials, but we do them in the form of like a carousel. So we take pictures of ourselves after we finish a book or as we're reading it or whatever. And then we also take a picture in the exact place that we're reading it with the book in the frame, or we'll take a picture of ourselves and then add the book in. Either or, we do that. And then we add like a rundown of it, our stars, our chili pepper ratings, and some very, very, very brief thoughts. And people seem to like them. It seems to be like quite quick and easy. You can scroll through it as you wish. And I think that kind of made us think a little bit, actually, we could probably just do a read and wrap up monthly. We have so much going on. Doing it monthly also reduces the pressure of having to read so much as well. I did say to Tia, I think it was at the beginning of this year, end of last year, I said in 2026, I actually want to read less because I've been reading too much and socials really ran away with us last year, I think. And we were like, we have to read this and we have to read that and we need to do it now.
We were trying to do like 5 books a week. I think at one point there was 6.
Yeah, there was. It was insane. It got to a point where we were doing like 1 book a day, and we would have like we would do like an audio at work, finish the audio, and then start a physical at home, and then that would carry into the next day. Then we'd start another audio book, and then it just got to a point where we're like, what are we doing?
What are we even doing here?
And then I think the break also made us really realise that actually we can heavily lean into other types of content. We can lean into other things that mean we don't actually have to read so much.
Yeah, and I think as well what's really good now is that we're going to start reading our own books, so things that we fancy reading, because obviously all the time we don't want to read the same books. So I think that's gonna be a nice little change up.
Yeah, I think we actually touched on that in the last podcast. I think we mentioned about how it was nice to sort of read our own stuff, because we're not always in the mood for the same thing at the same time, and there aren't always books that we want to read that are the same. So that's been nice, and we actually said, let's try and carry that forward. So we're actually I don't want to say some enjoyment, because we actually very much enjoy everything that we're reading and everything that we're doing. But sometimes you just want that comfort read that is right for you and your mood at that moment in time.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's important to do going forward, because obviously reading is supposed to be fun and not just a job. So we obviously do have fun reading, but we also need to make sure that we're reading for ourselves as well and not just for socials or anything.
For sure.
I'm just being completely honest. I am completely transparent. It does really run away with you sometimes. The pressure to constantly read stuff and keep up with everyone and everything, and even in yourselves, ourselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's going to be nice. There was one book that I read when I was away, and you didn't read it until I had gotten back, actually just recently, maybe like a week or so ago or 2 ago, and that was Bad Bishop. And again, I did mention this in one of the last podcasts, that I didn't talk about it in the books that we read on our break because you had just read it, and we were like, oh, let's do it as part of the wrap-up then, because then we can talk about it together. So we're going to do that today. Apart from that one, do you want to run us through the books that we're going to go over today?
Absolutely, I will. Okay, so we have got Rogue by L.M Mountford, Claimed by Fire, Daddies by Ruby Hayes, Edge of Desire by Katie Knowles, Iron Rose by Molly
Briar,
and then we've got our own ones. So I'm going to go through For the Fans by Nyla K, and then we're going to do Bad Bishop together, and you are going to go through
Unhinged by Steph Macca.
Lovely.
I've only read 3 of the 4. I think there's 4 in the series. There's only 4 on audio, and I'm about to start the 4th one, so I can only run through the first 3.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about all 3 of them specifically. I'll just talk about it as a whole.
And I'm going to do a quick little jobby on Chaotic.
Oh, yeah.
because boy, am I struggling. Okay, so I started Chaotic probably about a week and a half ago. And obviously it's a massive book. It's 800 pages. And for me, that's not daunting. I mean, it's massive for a dark romance, but it's not daunting because all of them are pretty massive anyway. However, my issue with this book is that I'm finding it very samey to all the others. So there's nothing that's in it that's wowed me yet. You know, like when you were reading all the other ones, there'd be like something so unhinged. You'd be like, fucking hell, Chantel.
Yeah.
What's that about? Whereas I'm finding this a lot like all the others. And also, there's like a lot of repetitive things. Like, I'm pretty sure for about 3 pages, she mentioned Cash having a cap on. And I was like, why?
Why do you keep saying that?
Why do you keep saying that?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm finding it really easy put downable. So I've been on page 300 for about 5 days now. I'm going to pick it up tomorrow because I do definitely want to finish it, but it's just, there's not really a lot going on. And loads of people have been saying that they've been crying about it. Loads of people have given it infinity stars. Like, it's got really good reviews, but I'm just not at that point yet.
Do you think it's like a Glow situation for me? You know, where you're on the struggle bus for like half the book, and then you put it down, and then as soon as you pick it up less than 100 pages later, you're like, fuck me, this just got really good.
Everything's kicked off. Yeah, it must be. Because, you know, like we said, didn't we? It's the last 100 pages where everything seems to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is probably what's going to happen. But I'm like, yeah.
Reading 700 pages to get to that point.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does pick up before 700 pages.
And it's
that's
not
insane.
like, because I was thinking, it's not like, you know, I don't like the book or I don't like the whole storyline or anything like that. Because I'm reading other books and I'm smashing through everything else and I'm having a great time. Whereas it's just not it for me at the minute.
You're in a bit of a Lord slump.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The old Lord slump.
Yeah. That was actually, it's funny you say that because and I know that you already know this, when I very first read The Lords, which was a long time ago now, I read The Ritual, and I got to Carnage, and I was like, I can't do it. I literally can't. I'm fucking bored of this now. Like, and I smashed them out back to back. So in all fairness, maybe that was where I went wrong. Because obviously you've said many a times, if you're going to read The Lords, have a break in between.
Oh, dear God,
read a palate cleanser. I smashed them out back to back, got to Carnage, and I was like, no, I can't do it. This is fucking shit. This is shit. It's too samey. I'm not enjoying the spice. It's not hitting. It's giving me the ick. And I'm bored. So I put it down. And then when we reread them, and we did take little breaks, and I actually audioed at the same time, I got to Carnage and I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking good. Oh my God, how the hell did I even put this down?
I know.
In the first place. So I do think a little bit as well with like The Lord, something like The Lords, especially considering how fucking insane it is. I do think you have to be in that right mood.
Yeah, for
you really
sure.
have to be ready for it. And maybe it might just take a little while to get back to that point, and maybe a couple of like funner things happening in it, or things that actually like pull you back in, and then you'll be like, okay, now I'm in. Now I'm back in.
I think because, so if you've read Carnage and Madness, you'll know at the beginning, in the initiation stage, there is the boat situation where they're all on the boat and they've all got to murder someone on this boat. So that was in it at the beginning. And I was like, okay, I'm hooked because this is like bringing me back into the other books, and now I'm getting it. I'm like, I'm in. And then it's just gone off, like, as in nothing's happening. And I'm like on page 300 and I'm like, I've still got 500 pages to go.
Yeah, that's long, isn't it? No, and you've still got basically a whole book left.
I mean, there's been like some little secrets that have come out, but I don't know if I'm vibing with the FMC either.
Yeah, that doesn't help. That never helps.
No, I mean, I'm vibing with Cash.
Yeah, I bet.
Big time.
I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I will say on the subject of Cash? I seen some art for him recently, and I can't remember if it was on Chantel's page or not, but it was basically art of Cash and what he looks like, potentially to Chantel if it was her that shared it. Don't quote me on that. But he had, and I cannot even tell you this, like, severely put me off. He had tight, ripped, skinny jeans on with like biker boots, and I was like, immediately no. No, absolutely not. Go and get changed. Who drew that? Why was that the picture in your head?
I actually can't picture it.
Tight,
I'm sure,
ripped jeans. No.
I'm sure isn't he always in joggers?
I can't remember. Read fucking Madness and Carnage ages ago.
I don't know, but either way, no. But now I've got to see it because I want to be like, oh.
I'm going to have to try and... I'll try and find it and then insert a picture. We'll insert a picture here, so you know what I mean. If you're obviously watching it on video, you'll be able to see. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's actually put me off him before I've even read it now. Because now I'm going to read it And every single time I'm going to be picturing him in skinny jeans that are ripped. And that's just no man should ever be wearing tight ripped skinny jeans.
Oh, no, I don't want to see your leg. Definitely.
be
Well, I
wearing
mean,
them
I don't
ripped.
mind seeing some leggage.
Not via skinny jeans that are ripped. No, thank
definitely
you.
not. I can just see the rips. And you know, like the little hairs, like...
Oh, especially we've got really dark, hairy legs.
Oh, stop.
Oh, no, I cannot.
Okay.
Imagine, actually, do you know what's worse than that? If he shaves his legs so they don't come through.
Oh, I've overthought it now. I'm not reading that tomorrow. I've got to get that image out of my head now.
Yeah, no. Sorry about that.
Okay, so this book is Rogue by L.M Mountford, and this is only 200 pages long. I had the time of my life reading this because it was just so fucking mental.
Yeah.
Like,
It went rogue.
I don't understand how you can cram as much that happened in this book.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, right? So I finished this and I was like, okay, I'm going to give it X stars because I was like, that went fucking rogue. Like, I really enjoyed it. But having sat with it for a while, now I'm actually like, well, I think I might give it a 0.5 extra because actually I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I did very much enjoy it. And before we go into like the rundown and everything of it, I just want to say for me personally, this, and I've already said this to you the other day, this really read like some kind of like Guy Ritchie script. It was really giving like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. If you imagine like Brad Pitt and Colin Farrell and some Irish accents and, you know, all right, geezer accents as well and just Russian accents, so many different people. And then, you know, in those types of films and movies with Guy Ritchie, you've always got the big, stocky 6'6" blokes, like the bodyguard type ones that get into the fights, but they're like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
and you know,
sure.
and they're like tall and stocky and can fight, but they're fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And it makes you laugh. And then you've got like the main character, you know, the guy that, you know, accidentally ends up in a little bit of trouble and just can't catch a fucking break. But he's like really good at fighting and everybody underestimates him. And then his internal dialogue is really funny.
Yeah.
And he's in like really serious situations, but he's taken the absolute piss out of it. Like he's just so nonchalant about it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it really was like the whole time I was reading it, I just kept imagining some kind of like Guy Ritchie-esque type situation.
I did
happening.
put down that it was like a Paramount series, but make it funny. And you said, obviously, what you said. And I think that's actually spot on because I just had a great time.
I did. It really, I didn't know what to expect. Like I went in blind and it's mafia. So obviously we went into it sort of thinking like mafia romance, all the type of things that we've read, blah, blah, blah. And there is spice in it. And it wasn't anything that I expected it to be. And actually it was a very nice change to it. I enjoyed the fact that it was different to what I'd read, but there was still some spice and there was still a sprinkling of romance, which was a little bit more towards the end. But again, it's such a short book that actually if it was a longer book, you wouldn't mind waiting that amount of time anyway to get to it. So before we get into our thoughts and all that kind of stuff, do you want to give us a rundown?
Yeah, so this one is a Tarzan and Jane retelling. So I put down that there's 3 plot lines to this because that's the easiest way to give it a rundown.
Yeah.
So the first plot line is at the beginning. So you've got the MMC and he's called John. He is part of the mafia. The mafia has brought him up. His family were killed back in the day. And then he goes to this meeting and there's like the Russians there and his now family end up basically passing him over and he gets shot. However, then we go to present day and he's still alive. So in different parts of this book, you end up seeing him watching the Russians basically saying that they're still going to go and find him and they are still going to kill him. So that's one part. And then another part is a gentleman comes and meets him at his house because he is a debt collector and he asks him to go about and pick up money for these 3 people because he's struggling for money and he needs the money by Friday. So in the book, there's actually 2 people that he goes to go and collect the money. So that's another side plot. And then the third side plot is where he meets Jane and falls in love with her. And I mean, that probably sounds like it's not a lot, but Christ, so much happened with those 3 different things.
I don't think do they fall in love in this book? Because I think that's going to be a longer plot line, actually. Because it doesn't happen until the end. So there is spice, but there's no actual, I don't think there's actually any falling in love. But you can obviously see it going that way very much. So he is very clearly enamored with her.
Yeah. So he gets very obsessed with the idea of having her. And he does end up having her at the end. And it came out of nowhere, which I mean is totally fine. And yeah, he just put it on her and she was like, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah, so the plot line of the whole, would you call it the prologue, I guess? That was quite long. That prologue was actually quite long. I actually think that was about 18 pages long, that first bit. And before you even got to chapter 1, I remember like flickering across and it going chapter 1. I was like, fucking hell.
They were long chapters.
Jeez, they were, yeah.
They were really long chapters.
Which actually I didn't mind. It was to the point where it was sort of like they were just long enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, sometimes when you're flicking through chapters and you're like, oh my God, is this ever going to end?
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because it doesn't affect the actual content of the book or the way it's written. It's just a weird reader thing, isn't it? That most people prefer short chapters. Yeah, so they were just long enough. So the prologue was quite long. The prologue bit I was totally confused with until we got other POVs from that situation. And it was like they were in third person.
Yeah.
They weren't from a specific person's point of view, whereas the rest of the book was from John's POV. Yeah. And then you would flip back, or not necessarily back, but you would flick to these kind of like third person POVs where the Russians were all in a big group and they were, you know, talking about him and all that kind of stuff. Those little bits confused me, but as it went on, it started to make a little bit more sense. And I think it's intentional because I think it's going to be trickled out into the following books.
Yeah.
Judging by the way it ended as well. The whole debt collector situation, it would be good to have some backstory on how he ended up in that situation, because this guy, this like businessman, just turns up at his house and was like, oh, this woman recommended me, and he like mentions the woman's name but doesn't say how he knew her specifically, and he's like, oh, she mentioned your name, she said you'd be able to help me. So this man is owed, this businessman is owed quite a lot of money from 3 separate people. And, you know, he was quite a timid bloke and just hounding these people wasn't working. They were like, oh, I need more time to pay you, need more time to pay you. So he was like, please, can you go to these people and make them pay me? I need the money by Friday. Doesn't explain why he needs the money by Friday. So as you get to the end of this book, there is obviously still some open-ended questions, open-ended plot lines, which obviously, like we said, clearly going to be in the next book.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the whole Tarzan and Jane thing, there's a part in the book where he finally finds out her name, because he doesn't know her name for ages. He first sees her when he's in this like little diner. These other guys are like trying to hit on her. She turns up late. She's flustered. These drunk guys are trying to hit on her. They corner her. The main character, John, decides he's going to get involved because he's like, I'm not having this. So he ends up in a big fucking fight with these blokes, which we'll talk about in a second. He ends up in a big fight with them, kicks off. He doesn't get to know her name. He then finds out she's lost her job and he tries to help her, blah, blah, blah. And then he finally gets her name. It's Jane Porter. And he goes, John and Jane, me Tarzan, you Jane. And honestly, I was like, oh,
that's so cute.
I really, really enjoyed it. I really, very much enjoying the Tarzan and Jane kind of retelling element of it. Yeah, I do really like that.
I think the whole book literally was probably around 2 days. So
yeah,
whenever this started, it must have been a Monday, and then that guy said that he needed all the money by Friday.
It was a Monday, yeah.
So everything that happened in this 200-page book was like 2 days. And yeah, so you've got the next person that he then has to go and see and get the money from, and then you've got him then getting the money on the Friday.
Oh, it was 2 days. It was 2 days because all the fights he got in are on the Monday, and then at night time he went back to the diner place for her to get her job back.
Oh yeah.
And then he said, you're going to call her tomorrow morning and offer her the job back. And then the next day he goes, right, I'm going to go for my lunch and see if she's there. And he went there and she obviously wasn't there. And he was like, what the hell? Where is she? I told you to offer her job back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it literally happens over the course of like a day and a half, actually.
And then obviously he goes to go and find her, and he ends up doing her up against the wall.
Yeah, which was great, actually.
It was really great.
Yeah. She loved it.
Why not?
I mean, we couldn't possibly go into like all the ins and outs of this because, oh my God, it just goes off.
I can't even go through every single scene because
there's
so much action.
Yeah.
So much action in it.
Do you know, I will say the action scenes where they're all fighting was so well written that you could follow along the scene as if you were physically watching it.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of the time you're just reading these fighting scenes in mafia books and you're like, yeah, sure, you know, yeah, they're fighting, you know, kick, punch, punch, hit, whatever. You know, and you don't really care about the logistics of whether that makes sense. But actually reading these they made sense and I could follow the whole fight along in my head, and it made it very cinematic. Again, leaning into the whole kind of like Guy Ritchie feel, like vibe of it all.
Yeah.
It
And
really
so comical as well.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it was so funny. Oh, he really was funny. Like I actually have a note that says there were quite a lot of moments where I physically laughed out loud. And that's actually quite difficult to do for me specifically. I'm actually not really much of a comedy gal. So if you get an actual laugh out loud moment,
be proud.
Okay, my last point before we go into our ratings is when I was reading this, there were moments where the MMC was really reminding me of Tiernan from Bad Bishop, which is the MMC in Bad Bishop. I think it was mainly because they had that similar. Tiernan was a little bit more serious, a lot more serious. This guy was a lot more jokey, a bit more jovial. But that inner dialogue, where it was quite comical and very sarcastic, they were quite similar. So I think if you like Tiernan from Bad Bishop, I think you might vibe with this MMC, because I enjoyed him very much.
Yeah, he was a
very,
hoot.
very much.
He was definitely a hoot. Like, I would love to get to know him.
Yeah. I actually really am looking forward to reading the second book of this and seeing how it plays out, and especially seeing how the romance played out, because that was definitely more of like, I want to say it was a slow burn, but like when they kind of met again and he went to her house, they did get it on almost straight away. So I'm hoping that in like the following books we get some kind of like romancing, so maybe some flirting, some flirtatious banter, some tension, stuff like that, because they didn't really get the chance to have that in this book just because of the way that the plot went. So I'm hoping that we kind of like get some of that. I'm hoping that, because she is so sassy, like she's very, very sassy. I'm hoping that she kind of pushes back on him a little bit, and we get a bit of, back and forth. But let's go into our ratings.
Absolutely.
Okay, stars, what did you give it?
I gave it a 4.
So I gave it a 4 as well, but the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm thinking I want to push it to a 4.5. So I'm going to say 4 to 4.5. Chili ratings?
The chilies!
Chili pepper?
Chilies. I gave it 1.5.
I also gave it 1.5.
It was literally, it was just one scene. But it was needed.
Yeah.
Because you felt like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
Because it was all kind of left to the end, the whole him and Jane situation. I had a great time.
Yeah. It was only 200 pages, but it was just the right amount to kind of like hook you into the story and hook you into the spice and the romance to just want that bit more. Okay, should we go on to the next one?
Okay, so the next one is Claimed by Her Fire Daddies by Ruby Hayes. I actually finished this one yesterday, and I'm not going to lie, I had the absolute time of my life.
Yeah.
I had such a good time.
I mean, it's why choose. I'm not being funny, but if anything is why choose, immediately you've already got like 3 stars.
Oh, for sure.
From us.
Yeah.
You really have to fuck that up for us to give it less than 3 stars.
You have to make it a why choose, and then she only sleeps with 2 people.
Yeah, or 1, and then we'll rate it down.
And then we'll rate it down.
But immediately, at least 3.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat.
This one was really good because I actually really enjoyed the opening as well. So the opening is that she's at the altar. She's about to get married to her fiance, who is actually a really bad guy. And she's like, no, I don't want to do this. So she legs it in the wedding dress, $15,000 wedding dress, legs it. Her besties helped her. She's got a rental car. She's packed her a bag, given her some cash, and then she's out of there. However, a storm is coming in. So she ends up driving off the road because of all the ice, and then she's sort of in and out of consciousness, and then 2 guys turn up in their little truck, and she's like, oh fuck, they're gonna see me in this wedding dress, and but then she passes out. So then they make the executive decision to just take her home. They take her home, they're like looking after her, warming her up, and then another guy turns up. There's 3 of them in total that live in this ranch house. You've got Knox, who's like the grumpy one, then you've got Hunter, he's like the possessive protector, and then you've got Ryder, who's like the boyish charm, flirty one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all there, they're like looking after her, she comes to, and then she's like, oh fucking hell, because they're all staring at her like, don't know what to do. And she's like stunning, like she's giving model vibes. So she tells them she was actually modelling and she ran away, and that's why she's in
the shoot
the
went
wedding
wrong.
dress. So they, let her stay over, feed her, and then she freaks out in the morning. She ends up leaving. She ends up in an inn for a few days, but then they all come back together again. And it all gets hella spicy.
Yep.
And Graham comes back.
Yeah.
With a bang.
Her
Obviously.
fiance, ex-fiance.
So she's in hiding to make sure that no one knows who she is, because it was in the news and everything. But then obviously Graham comes back and there is a surprise baby on the way.
It proper fucking kicks off. Yeah, also the surprise baby thing isn't a spoiler, because she's actually, Ruby the author has actually kind of plastered that as one of the tropes, that it is a surprise pregnancy, surprise baby. Which, I'm not gonna lie, and I've said this before, the whole pregnancy trope thing, sometimes I can really struggle with, but it was alright. I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole way it was handled, and I felt like the way that she handled finding out was definitely
real
and correct for the situation that she was in, rather than just being immediately elated and be like, oh my god, this is my new life, I'm going to tell him I'm so happy. She needed a lot of time to process.
She had a bit of a freak out.
She really wobbled. She didn't know what to do, in the sense of like, do I tell him? So she kind of like pretended it didn't exist for a bit, and so she could sort of process, and she was really worried about it. Like, she was like, oh, what if the guys reject me? What if they don't want it? Like, blah blah blah. And then it really did feel natural in the way that she then eventually told them. And it was nice to see the male main characters giving her that space, not just with the whole pregnancy situation, but in general.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't know her backstory, but they knew that she just needed processing time, and they knew that something bad must have happened, so they gave her some time. And that was all of them as a collective decision. And you could really sense that the three guys had obviously bonded very, very well previously. They're like ex-Navy SEALs. They've been through some shit together. They obviously now live together. So they have a very established relationship, know how each of them works, and they collectively decided that they would just like lay off her and not pressure her into anything whatsoever. And that was nice as well.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
they were like possessive without being possessive and intense and overbearing. It was just the right amount, you know, where they let her do her thing.
Do you have any favourite scenes?
I do, actually, and it was one of the spicy scenes. Actually, all the spicy scenes were really good, but specifically the group scenes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say one over the other, but I just really enjoyed the group spicy scenes. There's a daddy kink in this as well, and all the men work really well together in regards to
doing her.
Yeah. They've got the logistics down to a T, which makes me think that they'd done it, you know, many, many times before.
It was like a tag team. He was like, high five, you're in.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Because they'd like, two of them would finish, and then they'd be like, the third one come over and be like, you're not done yet, princess.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, like barely keeping herself together.
Liquids everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. What was your favourite scene?
So my favourite scene, I fucking ate this scene up, was when Ryder gave her the toy.
Oh, yeah, the breakfast.
At the breakfast.
That was a really good scene.
So at this point still, Knox isn't involved. He's like, there's something dodgy about you. Arm's length. So, but Hunter and Ryder are in, like they are involved.
Yeah.
So Ryder gives her a toy, whacks it in there, and then they're all sat down at breakfast and he turns it on. But he's like, I'm going to have this on all day and you're not allowed to finish. So she sat at breakfast and it's like a low hum. And then Knox sits down, doesn't even look at any of them. He's all angry because classic. And then Ryder turns it up and then she's like, oh. And then Ryder puts his hand down there and starts playing with her. And then Hunter's on the other side and he puts his hand down there and starts playing with her. And then she is just on the edge. She ends up like slamming the table and it's all very dramatic. And Knox is just like watching like, oh, I really want this, but I don't want this because I actually don't like her. Arm's length. And yeah, she finishes and it's all just very dramatic and it was great.
Yeah, it was really good.
Oh!
I think that was the point where Knox was like, maybe I could be
Actually,
involved.
I'll do it.
Maybe it's not so bad. Fine, I'll do it.
Fine, I'll do her. I mean, God, if I have to. Literally.
That's the energy he was given, actually.
Yeah. Well, I did write on here, which one would you have gone for if you had to pick between the three?
Knox.
I knew it! I literally wrote on here, it would be Knox. I put outside of Knox's massive appendage, because he was too grumpy for me. But I do like the golden retriever, but then Ryder was too much of a golden retriever, and also I didn't like...
Sorry. I didn't even have time to cover my mouth.
That was really cute.
That wasn't cute.
That was cute.
That was quite an aggressive sneeze.
You should hear mine.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No.
I bet you'd wake the neighbours with that. I bet. Yeah.
Like that. It's really aggressive for someone so small. I put outside of Knox's massive appendage, I would want Hunter. Because I feel like Hunter was giving like long hair, sort of, what do you call them? Viking vibes.
Yeah.
To me. And I love me a Viking.
Yeah. Yeah, you do.
I think.
Yeah.
So yeah. But that's really funny that you went for Knox because I just knew it straight away. As soon as Knox wasn't having any of it, I was like, oh, she's going to love him. She's going to be all over that. Please want me.
Yeah, immediate, like, yeah. Oh, he doesn't want me? I'm in.
That's a bit of me there.
Yeah. Will you marry me?
He's avoided me. I like that. I'm into that a
He
lot.
hates me. Nice. I'm turned on. I don't know what it is. I think it's more like the leader of the gang.
Yeah,
I'm
you
a
do
leader,
like that.
I'm a leader. I'm a leader of the gang. I am. Is that even the
You
words?
like the sensible one. Like the sensible leader who's an arsehole and is grumpy. You're like,
I do.
yes, please.
Yeah.
I'm mainly like the one that can't keep shit together. Liam. They're my sort of vibe.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At this point, we could definitely pick out who the other one wants.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do some ratings?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what did you give it?
So I gave this one a 4, but I would lean towards a 4.5 because I did just have the time of my life with those men.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. Yeah, big time. What about you?
Okay, so I actually also gave this a 4, and I gave it a 4 mainly because of the spicy scenes, but especially the group scenes at the end. I really, really enjoyed them. Also, I did really love the opening scenes.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed the end when like her past came back to get her, essentially, and it just all kicked. Oh, it literally went off, like big time off, and I very much enjoyed that. The plot just went fucking mental.
People were shot
at
and
one point.
everything.
Yeah, it really was. There was shotguns and all sorts of stuff. And actually, I will say as well, you know, I do quite like, and I've realised this with other books, it's a very insignificant part of it, but her relationship with her dad, which if you read it, you'll understand, is very strained. He's always taught her to kind of be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
She's a business transaction for him to get further in his career, blah, blah, blah. So the relationship has never really been much of a relationship. And actually, at the end, they start to try and repair that. And I actually very much enjoyed that. And I've realised that I've enjoyed that in other books a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that might be a little like micro trope. You know how like we're like, oh, we like pets.
Yeah.
When they're in, I think I quite like a rekindling of a parental relationship.
That's really nice.
I think that's cute.
Because I, on the other hand, was like, no, he was a dick to you. Don't.
Oh yeah, I did feel like that, but I like reading about that trope when there's at least some progression and maybe getting back to a better relationship. But yeah, I enjoyed that part as well. Okay, chili peppers.
The chili!
Chili peppers. What did you give it?
I gave it a 4.
I gave it 3.5, but I don't know if I wrote that before I finished. Because there was DP, a bit of double pen. Mm-hmm. Not in the same area, but at the same time in different areas.
I'm not going to lie, quite aggressively. It came out of nowhere.
So actually, maybe 3.5, maybe more leaning towards a 4 chili peppers.
The chilies.
Chili peppers. Chili peppers. Why
Don't know.
Yeah, the whole book was very descriptive. It was 384-ish pages. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
So actually, mine was about 478 pages, but there was like big gaps between the words.
Yeah, so I don't know how many pages it actually was. I did not have big gaps. All of my pages were full to the brim.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is Edge of Desire by Katie Knowles. So this one is a dark romance. The MMC is a stalker. There's red flags everywhere. The FMC, I think she's kind of a legend. I think she's cool as shit. She's quite funny. Okay, so rundown. So we have got Casey, who is the FMC, and we have got Seb, who is the MMC. So Casey and her best friend Liv, they go to a gallery one night. She ends up meeting Seb, and then they go home together and have a little sexy time. They end up meeting a few times afterwards, but then he starts blowing hot and cold. So then she's kind of like, I don't really know where I stand with this guy. But every time that he meets her, they end up doing it, and it's like the best sexy time she's ever had in her life.
And he says like all the right things.
Oh, he says so many good words.
He says all the right things, even not just in a spicy sense, but in just like an emotional sense as well. Like he says the right things.
He makes
and
you feel
pulled
really
back in.
good.
Yeah.
He made me feel great.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like pulling towards him, and she like wants a bit more from him, but he's not giving anything away. Like he will just go 3 days without talking to her.
Yeah.
So she goes out one night and she ends up meeting Alex, who is an ex-rugby player, really sexy. And he's like, oh, do you want to go on a date one day? She's like, yeah, sure, we can go on a date. So now she's got 2 guys, but Seb just keeps showing up. And then she's like, oh, I really want more with him, but, you know, he's not giving anything away. So she ends up going on the date with Alex. And just sort of after that, it all goes to shit badly. So something happens in the middle and she decides that she's just going to end that shit with Seb going forward. And then she starts pursuing Alex. But then Seb ends up stalking her.
He doesn't go away.
He doesn't go away. He blows up her phone. He turns up everywhere that she is. She can't get away from him. And yeah, it turns out to be really, really bad.
Yeah, it really does escalate. And the whole way through the book, you're like, oh my God, I actually don't know who she's going to end up with here, because she constantly takes Seb back. Even after all of these situations where the red flag gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
My God.
But yet when he turns up, he starts waving these green flags around. He's like, I'm so sorry. I know I just really struggle like with getting close to people and opening up. I always fuck everything up, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, okay.
Come to bed.
Yeah. And they have this amazing chemistry, which obviously she says herself, like, it really doesn't help. Like the sexy time is amazing and he is great. But there's just all these like red flags.
Yeah.
And as the author, and we mentioned this on socials when we did the kind of shortened version of the review, that the author has done a really good job in reeling you in just enough to like him, that when he pulls back, you're sort of like, what, where are you going? Wait, where are you going? Wait, I want more. Even though you know, like, he's waving these red flags everywhere, even though you know he's clearly not a good person, you're still like, but maybe I just want a little bit more.
Oh, honestly, I couldn't get enough of him.
And then she brings him back. He blows cold for a while, and then he strings her along, and then he turns up again. You're like, oh,
thank God.
Oh, thank God for that. Oh, he's back. Yes, he's back. Yeah, and which is exactly the same emotions that the FMC goes
Must
through
have been
as
feeling.
well.
I totally get what she was going through.
Absolutely.
I was like, yeah, go on, just forgive him.
Yeah, and there were situations where, like, because she was essentially dating these 2 people at the same time, and then she sort of has a situation, a bit of a face-off with him, and was like, I can't, you did these things to me, and he's like, well, hold on a minute. You literally were kissing this bloke, like, I followed you, and you were kissing this bloke, and you've been dating somebody else at the same time you've been dating me, and at that moment, I was like, he's kind of right. Yeah, I was like, actually, you don't really have a leg to stand on here. And we totally brushed over the fact that he had just admitted to stalking her on her date, even though he was like, no, I just happened to be there, and it just straight over my head.
Yeah. He's like going through her phone. She wakes up and he's just there going through her phone. I was like, I don't think that happened.
He gaslit me. Yeah, he gaslit both of us the whole way through, because he's like going through her phone. She's like, what are you doing? That's an invasion of privacy, blah, blah, blah. And then he starts making these really valid points. And as the reader, you're like, listen, I'm not being funny, love, but actually he's making some good points here. Like completely dismissing the fact that
A, he's going through your phone. B, he's been stalking you.
Yeah.
And C, this massive situation that was meant to put you off him happened just yesterday.
Yeah. And we're all just like,
and I'm like, oh God,
blind.
He's so nice.
Yeah, he's so nice. I really love him. He's making really good valid points. These green flags are everywhere. Actually, you're just ignoring everything else. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that aspect to it.
Yeah.
I totally gaslit the whole way through. Absolutely. I think she made a fucking brilliant job of doing that. And I loved it sounds terrible, but the sense of impending doom that escalated as the book went on. It started off very airy-fairy, sexy, saucy. Oh, they had some great tension. They had great spicy scenes, and it was all great. And then all of a sudden, her personality starts to go from being really overly bubbly and fiery, and then that starts getting kind of like lost a little bit, and she starts to get really sad, and then these bad things start happening, and the balance is outweighed. And then, like I said, that sense of impending doom kind of grows and grows
for sure
as the book goes on, to the point where it obviously does escalate. Yeah, it does get really quite dark at one point, and there is a scene in it, which Tia mentioned earlier, that we won't talk about, but it was a physical
no
moment. It was,
I was like,
as we were leading up to scene, it was literally like, no, surely not. No,
what do you mean?
No, it can't
but
be.
You know, like, it came out of nowhere because she's just out having dinner and drinks with her best friend and they're having a good time and it's all that. And then she's just going to get her coat and then
it just all goes to shit. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but something in that scene happens, and honestly,
but
it was just
it was so like aggressively done.
Yeah, it was.
It's like, oh my God.
You know, like usually those scenes, and then the author is making you think it's going to be a certain way, and actually you get to it, and then it's not, and you're like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God for that. No. Oh, no, it went exactly the way that you think it's going to go in the build-up. And it wasn't even...
It could have just been like a little light situation.
Yeah.
But nah, we had to go
balls
to the wall.
Yeah, balls to the wall, literally. Yeah, it was so intense.
Oh, that's so funny. Just going back on what you said about the whole... this situation. So the best way to describe it is if you were watching it as a program, like the beginning, I felt like the first couple of chapters, it was like everything was in colour.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she'd gone home with him for the first time, it felt like it was grey. You know, like when you visually watch something and it feels a bit grey.
It went into like sepia or sepia, whatever you call it, and then it just slowly started to get black and white.
Yeah.
As if it was like really dulling down and it was getting really eerie and dark. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Wild.
That's a great way to describe it, actually. I also agree that I really loved the female main character and I really loved her bestie as well. Their relationship was everything in this. It was brilliant. And again, this is something we touched on in the review very quickly, was how important it is to have a best friend or some kind of companion in your life that you can lean on in dark times, but also someone that you can joke about things with, even if it's really heavy shit, just to be able to lighten the mood, someone that won't judge you, that you can say absolutely anything around and to, and there is no judgment, and you can bounce off them well, because that really does take the weight out of heavy situations. And I loved how that was conveyed. They were both legends in this. I loved both of them in it. We don't actually get too much of the other MMC, if you wish. He's not really a main character, but the other male character in this. You don't get too much of Alex, but you get enough of him for there to be, you know, a real plot line with Seb to make that a lot more serious. Yeah, overall, I really loved it. So should we do our stars?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I gave this 4.5.
I also gave it 4.5.
It was so close to being a 5. I am so close. I just really, really loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed myself.
I actually probably would have happily read this if it was longer and we got... the whole situation was longed out a little bit more, and that eeriness was longer, and we got more from Alex. Chili peppers.
The chilies.
What did you give it?
I gave it 3.5.
Yeah, I put 3 to 3.5, so I think that's fair.
Yeah.
The spice was really nice. He was obviously very, very good in bed.
Fuck's sake.
I mean, even the spice with Alex, when it happened, you know, that was a slow burn, slow progress on the spice with Alex as well. But when it did happen, it was very
really
nice.
Good. I liked him a lot.
And he was also well endowed. I said this to you as well, that, you know, like sometimes if there's a couple of male love interests, you can usually always tell which one is going to be the main one or the one she ends up with by the size of the appendage and how the female main character talks about them in that sense. And as soon as Alex revealed himself and she was like, oh my God, he's huge.
Oh my God, it's massive.
I was
it's
like,
not going to fit.
He's obviously going to be a main love interest as well. He ain't going nowhere.
He's not
with
not
an appendage
leaving.
that size.
Yeah, which was nice because I felt like obviously it was drilled into us that Seb is so good in bed. Yeah. So Alex had to have a massive appendage. Like he had to.
And also had to be good in bed.
Yeah.
But the only difference is that Alex was emotionally stable.
Yeah, he was great.
Okay, do you want to introduce the next one?
Absolutely. So the next one is called Iron Rose by Molly Briar. So this one we actually did on audio. So the author sent us the audiobook because she is actually the narrator in said audio.
Yeah, she did a great job as well.
She did a really good job. So on audio, it was actually only 8 hours and 59 minutes. Okay, so this one we have got Woman Fighter in a Male Circuit, Chasing in the Woods, which actually came out of nowhere.
Yep.
A possessive MMC, a very strong and feisty FMC, it's Bratva, and MMA.
Yep, and she's bi. FMC is bi.
Yes! So we get a little FF situation. Small.
Couple of times, actually.
Small FF
situations. Very small, and she's actually using it as a means to kind of like more make him jealous.
And it works.
But it was actually very enjoyable. They were good scenes, to be fair. I actually enjoyed it. So I actually had to read this. I think I started it 3 times because mafia romances, for whatever reason, confused the shit out of me. And I think it's all the names and everything. And I think I probably spend too much time overthinking and trying to understand all of the names at the start, when really you just kind of need to soldier on through and know that it'll make sense eventually. So the third time round, I was like, right, I'm just going to go for it. And then it did. By the time I got to like the second half towards the end, it did make sense. Like all the names made sense. I knew who everybody was and blah blah blah. But you know what it's like with Mafias and all the Bratfas, you've got all these different names all over the place,
it
don't
does
you?
happen.
And then you've got Pacan and Pecan and all the other names.
That's where it just stopped. It's just looking at your finger like...
I didn't know. I know what they are, like consigliere.
Consigliere.
And then in Rogue, there was another name, began with a B, another name in a Bratva for some kind of like level.
I'm not going to lie, I do just sort of skim over the names.
Which is what I need to start doing. Anyway, so I was a little bit confused at the start. So for me, I was like, oh no, what the hell is going on? But actually, when I set the names aside, and was like, oh, let's just actually try and enjoy the story. I did very much enjoy it. And by the time I got to the end, I was like, whoa, actually, that was really fucking good. Yeah. That was actually really fucking good. And the narrators did a really fucking good job, especially Molly. She was narrating her own book, and her accent in it was so good.
Yeah,
it was like she had this like, it was supposed to be like a Filipino accent, if I remember rightly. Yeah. And it was so, like, the voice was very nice. It was nice in your ear holes.
Yeah.
It was delicate, but also still conveyed, like, the aggression that a strong FMC would give. Yeah, so she's an MMA fighter. She fights in the men's circuit. She literally, like, takes them down in her fucking sleep. She's, like, the reigning MMA champion or something like that. Yeah, and someone approaches her, the Pacan of the New York Bratva, the head of the New York Bratva, whatever they're called. This is what I mean. Approaches her and says, you need to throw this fight with my son because we want his career to take off, so you give up the fucking jig, basically. And she's like, how about no?
Fuck you.
Yeah, I don't fucking think so. So she doesn't, and obviously everyone around her is sort of like, well, you know what that means, don't you? Like, if you don't throw the fight, obviously you're going to have a price on your head. And she's like, yeah, whatever. So she doesn't throw the fight. She ends up on the run. She doesn't have a dad. Her parents are passed away. That's not a spoiler. And she ends up with a new dad out of nowhere. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't really warm to this man at all.
I didn't. And then, it got progressively worse with him because he started getting quite aggressive.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Chill out.
Why are you being like this? Because she'd run away and she was in hiding, they changed their names, and then he was her dad, effectively. And just the way that he kept drilling into her about him being her dad and don't talk badly about your own dad and like all this stuff. I was like, mate, you need to calm down.
Because he knew her real dad before he died, and he didn't like her bad-mouthing him and stuff. And he got really aggressive about it. And even like the MMC was like, eventually like, you're working her too hard, blah blah blah. Yeah, so much happened in this as well. We couldn't possibly go over everything that happened, but she's on the run. In the prologue, she meets the MMC in France. They have a tryst. It's after a fight. She's all het up and she's like really ready for it to do it. So her blood's pumping. And he's like, oh my God, this is so attractive. Like, I love a strong woman. Like, let's do it. So they have a little tryst, part ways. He's then obsessed, goes to see this fight that she doesn't throw. She goes on the run. And yeah, their stories kind of like intertwine. He's got his own things going on. She's obviously got all this shit going on. Then coincidences happen and they end up sort of like in situations together and rooms together. And even towards the end, him, the dad, and the MMC don't really get along. Like, they basically hate each other. But they do start to have some kind of like hate banter, and then they kind of are forced into a situation where they kind of have to work together. And I very much enjoyed that. So on that point, I will say that as the book went on, it got better and better and better. And then, like, by the end, I was like, this is really fucking good. Like, the Frenchman, Hugo the Frenchman, I loved him. There was a scene at the end where she has to kind of, like, kidnap him. And he is just so funny about having his hands. Yeah. He's like, well, you're going to have to tie me up. And she's like, well, really? Do I have to really? And he's like, well, yeah. And like, it's just the dialogue between them is so fucking funny. And then he's like really casual about everything after, about being like kidnapped and shit. It was really funny. I really liked him. He was a favorite character of mine. We've not read any of the other books, But
No.
I'm hoping that Hugo is one of the characters. And actually, even though I didn't like him all that much, I hope the dad is also a character in one of the other books, because it'll be nice to see why he is the way he is.
Yeah, a little breakdown of his life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have got a favourite scene. So we have got Alistair, which is the MMC, and he is out one night with Sophia, which is like an ex sort of situation, and another woman. And they're all like having chats, and then Rose walks in and then sort of clocks them, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna make her jealous. So he ends up taking Sophia like round the back, and they end up like sitting down, and they're like getting close to each other, and Sophia's kind of in on it anyway. She's like, sure, I'll humour you. So Rose goes out and then is in front of them, and she ends up just going down on Sophia, and is clocking eyes with Alistair at the same time, because Rose has always got this thing that women can always do it better than what men can. And I mean, she's great. She really is.
Yeah, she really was.
She really was. Anyway, so Sophia ends up finishing, and then Rose is kind of like, see how this is? And then Sophia goes off, and then Alistair's literally so pent up that he ends up bending her over and doing her. But I really loved that scene, because I was like, go on, girl. You show him. You show him who's boss. And it was great. Have you got any favourite scenes?
That was it.
Oh.
That was my favourite scene as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, when you read it, I think you can really sense that the author really finds her flow as the book goes on, and it really just starts to like ramp up, and everything sort of ties together. The character building really ramps up as well, and you do get more heavily involved with each individual person, and start to like them more. Okay, should we do our ratings?
Absolutely.
What did you give it?
I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4. I would maybe even lean into a 4.5 to be honest, but yeah, 4. Chili pepper.
The chilies.
What did you give it?
I gave it a 3.
Yeah, I put 3 to 3.5, but I'd say 3 is right.
But I feel like it was a good enough amount.
Yeah.
Like I didn't need more.
It
I was
fitted
like,
the book perfectly. The amount that there was, the type of spice, I guess, it just fitted the story, fitted the characters, and fitted the length of the book as well, I think. Yeah,
and I did enjoy the fact that it happened in the prologue. Like I was like, okay, we're getting right.
We're
into
in.
It then. Hello.
That's what I thought as well when I first started listening to it. I thought, fucking hell, there's no messing about here, is there? Straight in.
Loved it.
It is duet narration as well, just before we go on, I will say that. Molly actually did give us a discount code, so I'll maybe put it on stories again on our socials if you follow us. I'll put the link up with the discount code. You can get 20% off the audiobook if you buy it on her website. I think it's $9.99. That's in dollars if you buy it on her website, and you'll get 20% off that. So that's a decent amount.
And if you miss it, just drop us a message and we can provide you with it.
It's also not just on that audiobook, it's on other audiobooks as well. So if you wanted to get like the set or something, you absolutely can. I actually don't know if she narrates all of them. I actually didn't check that. I'm not too sure, but it certainly wouldn't be a bad thing if she did.
No.
Should we go on to the next one?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go into my personal one. So I'm going to do For the Fans by Nyla K. So I did this, I've physically read it up till about page 200. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Corvin King. What am I doing? So then I ended up immersive reading the rest, and it was great. So it's Corvin King and Javi, Gavi, whatever. So it's 22 hours and 39 minutes on audio. So it's pretty long.
Oh, that is long.
Yeah. But she's a chunky book. But I'm not going to lie, I had the time of my life with this one. So it's stepbrothers. You've got Avi and you've got Kyron. Avi's mum turns around to him and is like, I'm dating. And he's like, what? Why? Because I thought it was just going to be us two forever. Avi's mum is dating Kyron's dad. So they come together, and then Kyron and Avi kind of really don't get on. And Avi loves winding up Kyron. And it's actually really funny. Like, I love their little relationship. And Kyron turns around to Avi and is like, you're a no one. Just step out of my business and all this shit. So Avi, because he's petty as shit, decides to apply for the same college as Kyron just to piss him off. But he gets in. They end up going to the same college. Anyway, so they manage to avoid each other for like the first year, but then it gets to the second year and the dad's like, you two need to come around for dinner because I've got some news for you. So they go to the house and then they realise the house is basically empty. The maid's no longer there. There's no one cooking for them, all this stuff. Then the dad sits them down and is like, look, I've got nothing. I've got absolutely nothing. I can't pay for college anymore. Like,
We're broke.
Then they're like, well, shit, like I'm going to have to find a job because I want to stay at college. So Avi's then talking to his best friend, Frankie, and he like sees on her computer that she's on OnlyFans. He's like, give me some information on this. She tells him, and then he's like, fuck it, I'm going to join it. So he ends up joining it, and he's making a bit of cash. And then Frankie turns around to him one day and is like, look, I need 2 guys because my fans are asking for this. I need 2 guys to be in a video with me. Avi's like, yeah, for sure, I'll do it. And she's like, well, we need another guy, another guy that needs to make money, do you know anyone? So then obviously Avi's like, well, Kyron obviously needs to make some cash. So he goes to Kyron. Kyron's like, no, I don't want to do that. But then he gives him some shots, some fireball, and then Kyron's like, fuck it, yeah, okay, but like we can never talk about this again. I am not joking. This scene is probably the hottest scene ever. I mean, Frankie may as well have just not existed because Avi starts it by like going down on her, and then Kyron's kind of like, I don't know what to do, which you then find out why as the book goes on. I don't really know what to do. So then he sort of takes Avi's lead, but like, because their fingers are touching, and then because they're going down on her at the same time, like then there's breaths like caressing and all this stuff. And then Avi licks his fingers, and I'm not going to lie, I thought I was going to pass out. Like, genuinely, I thought I was going to cease to exist. So the idea was that they were going to have a licking competition, but then Kyron didn't really know what to do, but then he started like kind of feeding off Avi's energy. Oh, God, honestly, it was very satisfying. So Kyron leaves and he's got like this little wet patch in his pants. And then Avi's like, okay. So it turns out he enjoyed it. Like he had a good time. Yeah, so they both make $3,000 and Avi's like, yes, get in. Then people start messaging Avi and they're like, look, why don't you bypass Frankie being in these videos? I just want to see you guys going at it together. Avi's like, this isn't a bad idea. Like they're going to pay us loads of money. Goes to Kyron. Kyron's like, no, fuck off. Like I'm not into guys. I'm not. That was a one-off. Anyway, turns out he's into guys. So they end up working together, and it's so delicious. It really is delicious, and I just fell for both of them because I was like, I just fucking love you. Kyron's NFL as well.
So, nice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Big time.
And there's this scene where they figure out which one of them's going to be the bottom, and. Oh, God. And Kyron keeps his socks on. You'd love that. You really would. Because you love keeping your socks on in bed. Just picturing him with his feet hanging over whilst he's on
his Nike socks on.
Yeah, with his socks. Oh, great guy. Anyway, every single spicy scene, I was just fucking floored. And Avi's like, so he's kind of like a goth, emo sort of vibe. So like black nail varnish. Whereas, obviously, Kyron's an NFL player, so they're totally different, but they're both buff. Like, they're both, like, meaty. And, yeah, I just fell in love with them. Still am. Still can't get over them.
I wasn't going to read it, but now I'm thinking that maybe I will have to. Maybe just I'll audio it at some point.
Corvin King was enough to send me over the edge.
Actually, Corvin King is one of the narrators in the book I'm about to talk about in a second.
Oh, wait, and he's Bad Bishop as well.
Oh.
Look how this turned out.
What
a big month we've had.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would suggest it. It was one of my top 10 audiobooks I've ever listened to.
Wow.
Because I just ate it up. The scene with them doing the 3-way with Frankie was my favourite scene. She literally says, let's see who eats better. A little healthy competition. And I was like, oh God, I wish I was you right now. Honestly, you really are about to have the time of your life. So yeah, so my rating was 5 and the spice was 4.5. It was just insane.
Wow, so, 5 and 4.5, eh?
Big.
Okay, so shall I go into Unhinged by Steph Macca?
Absolutely, you should.
So this is also Corvin King. This is actually a full cast duet narration. So it's the first in a series. I've read 3 of the 4 books. Well, there's 4 on audio. I actually haven't double checked if there's more, and maybe there just hasn't been a release of the audiobooks for the rest, but I think it's 4. And the series is called Dance with My Demons. It's a dark Why Choose romance. And if you're listening to this podcast right now and you have read this series, or even read just the first book, based on what Tia said earlier about our preferences for the MMCs, I reckon you'll probably know who I'm going to go with. But it is Damon. If you've read
Just the name alone, I can already tell. He's right up your street.
Yeah, he was the one that wasn't interested.
Of course.
At first.
Yeah.
And it took him a little while. But she pulled it round. She pulled him round and then pulled some other things.
Oh!
Before I go on to say my thoughts and feelings of it, it's 5 hours and 48 minutes at like 1 speed, so you can absolutely smash through this. The reviews and the ratings for this are insane. Like, so good. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I maybe should have eyeball read this, but because I'd started on audio, I wanted to see it through on audio because I did very much enjoy hearing their voices. There was a lot going on. It's like an asylum setting, so it's like moonlighting as this like rehabilitation type center, but it's basically just an asylum. And she gets put in this asylum, the FMC, and then there's these MMCs who basically run the asylum. They're actually in there as patients, but they command so much respect, and there's obviously like sort of like a gang situation, you know, kind of going on where the patients are running the asylum from the inside, and you know, they've got a lot of the guards sort of in their pockets, so to speak. You know, they can access anywhere, they've got control of the cameras, you know, all that kind of shit really. And Damon is like the leader of the gang.
Of course he is.
Which also is one of my preferences, yeah. But we also have the other two as well. So we've got Avery, we've got Theo, we've got Damon, and we have Gray. And Gray, I think it's Gray that's Corvin King. And I messaged you the other day, I was listening to book 3, and just to go off on a tangent, and Corvin King actually says the C word quite a lot across these books. Not tons, but enough. And yeah, every time he says it, honestly, I just fall through the floor.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually messaged you the other day and I was like, every time Corvin King says the C word, it just sends me into orbit. Like, literally, I'm just orbiting the sun for an extended period of time because, fuck me, Jesus.
Genuinely, we've heard him so much this month. I don't know if I can go on.
Yeah, I don't listen to anybody else. Yeah. So it's Marie Hawkins is the female narrator, and then we've got Joe Arden, Corvin King, and Anthony Palmini.
Oh, that's big.
Come on,
that is
come on,
in the game.
Jesus Christ!
Yes.
I mean, that's what a why choose in every sense of the word, an actual physical romantic why choose, but also a why choose for a fucking audiobook. Like,
yeah,
Jesus,
that's massive.
And obviously, as always, Joe Arden. So Joe Arden is Damon. Absolutely insane. He just always does such a good job of portraying the, you know, morally grey, almost black, psychotic, you know, unhinged MMC.
Yeah.
He's just so good at it. So yeah, they're in this asylum, and it's actually Damon's dad that is like, I think he's like one of the doctors. He's running the asylum. It was his idea to start it in the first place, like a big money-making scheme. And it transpired that it's actually all Damon's money that funded it, but they took away his right to manage any of his money, Britney Spears style. So the dad took it all, created this place, chucked him in it, so he didn't have any ownership of anything that he actually did own, and the dad controlled all of his assets and all of his money and everything, and because he's in an asylum, obviously he was never going to get it back. So it's about everybody, each of the main characters are on like their individual journeys, and we get to know each of them as the books go on, obviously. All of the books are quite small, so all of the audiobooks are only around 5-ish to 5.5 hours. So they are all really quick to get through. And I tend to listen on 2 speeds, sort of 1.8 to 2. If it's not fantasy, I usually lean more towards a 2 speed, which is what I've been doing these on. The whole premise of it is so fucking good. I will say book 1, I didn't struggle with it. I just got to the end and I was like, I don't get the hype. Like, I was expecting really big fucking things. Yeah. And then everyone sort of, I think I put it on stories on socials, and everyone was like, oh, like, it all goes down in like the following books 2, 3, and 4 and whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And I will say, they've all kind of followed the same pattern. Shit has gone down and shit has happened, but they all start sort of relatively slowish. The spice is absolutely insane. There is a scene in one of the books, I actually can't remember which one it is, I think it might have been the first one, where they actually, her and one of the MMCs, I'm not going to say who, actually do it in the morgue in one of the cold drawers. So it's closed. Yeah, it's just, like, it is unhinged. It is absolutely unhinged, and all of them are equally as unhinged as the others. But yeah, there is loads of shit that goes down, and they're obviously, they want to get out of this place and, you know, blah, blah, blah. At the minute, I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, the actual idea of the story and the plot and the fact that it's why choose is so fucking good. For me, it's not quite hitting where I was expecting it to hit.
Yeah,
I went into this thinking this is going to be fucking insane. Absolutely insane. And I would say I've gone into it and it's now like, this is good. None of them has so far have been 5 stars. The first one I think I rated 3.5, and then the following 2 I think I did 4 stars. I am sort of 3.5 to 4. The audio does make each book so much better, because honestly, the scenes where it all kicks off and also the spicy scenes, just absolutely insane. Honestly, there's scenes where, because she starts off with just one of them, and then she'd already sort of had a bit of relationship with another one, but they hate each other, those 2 MMCs. So then they're forced to kind of like break bread a little bit and be nice to each other because she wants them both. So then that happens, and then there's a situation where one of the first times all 3 of them are actually together in a spicy scene, and there's a glory hole involved where is used by people in the asylum. The more I'm talking about it, the more insane it sounds. So one of the MMCs goes round to the other side and pokes through the glory hole, and she's like, what the fuck is that? And then the other MMC puts her obviously against the glory hole, and then so she's getting rammed through this glory hole in this room, and then the other MMC's in front of her and starts going down on her.
Yeah.
The same. It's honestly just, the scenes were unhinged, like just absolutely insane.
Down.
But because they're quick and easy, you know, I'm not heavily invested to the point where I'm like, my God, I need to know how this ends.
It's just an in-between situation.
Yeah, it's a good palate cleanser series that you can sort of like, you could read book 1 or listen to book 1, and then you could do like a series of something else, and then one day you're like, oh, I don't really know what to read, or oh, I need to clean the house, I'll tell you what, I'll read book 2, I'll listen to book 2. That kind of situation you can definitely easily pick up and put down and kind of come back to it. But I'm enjoying it. I've got the 4th book ready to go, which I think is called Exile, so I'm going to do that one, and then I think that is the end, I think, of the series. They are not interconnected standalones. You have to read it in order. They are all connected. I obviously can't give it like 1 whole star rating, so they were my individual stars. I doubt very much that the last book is going to be a 5, but it's been sort of like a straight down the middle series for me. It's been like, again, why choose? So immediately it's already 3 stars because
Easy,
it's why choose.
like work.
Then you've got at least another point, you know, a half a star because of the audio narrator. So yeah, already off to a good start, I guess. I'll give you my final verdict in, I guess, probably next month's wrap-up pod. Okay, should we go on to the last one?
Yeah, baby!
Which is Bad Bishop.
Bad Bishop, baby!
If you're still with us at this
done.
point, congratulations.
Gold star to you!
Yeah. I actually didn't make any notes on this because I read it, obviously, I mean, like 2 months ago now, something like that. And I didn't make any notes on it at the time because I was reading for fun, obviously. So, and I felt like too much time has passed for me to make any adequate notes. So I'll just lean on you and bounce off whatever you say, I guess.
Yeah, so I actually did this one on audio because a lot of people have been in our DMs about how good the audiobook was, and oh my God, it's insane. Like, again, that's in one of my top 10 audiobooks ever. Corvin King, obviously. And it was Lucy Rivers, and it was 12 hours and 35 minutes. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. So it's dark mafia, he's Irish, he's possessive, obsessive, he will literally burn the world down for her, and her family are thick as fuck.
And he's got one eye.
Oh yeah! How could I forget the one eye?
Pirate situation. Yeah. Which happens very early on in the book. So he actually does start the book with 2 working eyes, but very quickly loses one. Actually, by her family.
Yeah, it was.
Her brothers end up doing it. And to be honest, he takes it like a fucking tramp.
Oh,
He takes it like a tramp.
Interesting.
Nice choice of words. He takes it like a fucking champ.
He really does. Do you know what? He just got up and walked out.
Yeah.
Eyeless.
And then that's when he met her.
Eyeless.
Yeah.
Gives her his eye.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
What a present.
Do you want to give us a rundown of the book?
Absolutely. So we've got Nyla and we've got Tiernan. So Nyla is part of the mafia. Her family is part of the mafia. And at the beginning, we've got Tiernan, who is with them, and they don't really like each other. And I can't actually remember what it was that actually happened, of why they took his eye out. Bad business, would we say?
Yeah, I can't remember now. No.
I mean,
No,
I only
can't
listened to
remember.
it last week as well, so that's terrible. Anyway, so they take his eye out, and then he goes out with his one eye, and Nyla is sat outside, and she's in like this fountain situation, and he goes over to her, and she's kind of like, who's this dodgy guy? And he basically goes to drown her, but he ends up walking off. Nyla is actually dressed like she is a child because everyone thinks that she's got the mental age of about a 4-year-old. She is mute and deaf.
Yeah.
So everyone just presumes that they can't have like a proper conversation with her. She's got no friends. It's only the mum that really speaks to her. So even though she's got brothers and her dad, they still think that she can't really speak to them or anything like that. So they're at this family party and she goes outside to go and have a walk and she ends up getting attacked and then she ends up pregnant. So as to not bring shame on the family, the brothers then decide that Tiernan is going to marry her and then is going to bring up the child as his own. So they have a chat with him. He then sort of agrees, but he's kind of like, you know, I get to do with whatever I want with her. And it just ends up being a really good fucking story because he ends up seeing completely through this bullshit that she is deaf and mute, because actually she is only deaf, but she's so intelligent. And he ends up really falling in love with her because he just, gets her. Like, he gets her.
He sees her feistiness as well, and he actually encourages that to come out. Like, he really encourages her and pushes her intentionally in some scenes and situations to fight back and to talk and to show that she's not this silly little girl that her mum has made her out to be to everybody. So you do find out, again, this may be a little bit of a spoiler, but for the purposes of this podcast and being able to talk about everything properly in the book, her mum intentionally did that to prevent her from being married off into the mafia, to a mafia man. So, because the mum knew that it's not a healthy relationship, you're just a pawn in these men's games and you're abused and everything and treated like shit. So she didn't want that for her daughter, so she concocted this plan that she'd pretend to the world that she didn't know what was going on. You know, dressed her in all these silly little dresses and made her room all pink and fluffy and with silly little bears and all that kind of stuff to really oversell it. And it worked, you know, until she met Tiernan, who we later realised sort of knew from the very first moment he saw her that something was amiss. Yeah. She wasn't this person everyone made her out to be. Actually, the mum's plan backfired because she was attacked and because she ended up pregnant. They now needed to marry her off, like you say, to not bring shame on the family. So it was sort of like, well, in exchange, Tiernan is saying, I'll marry her, and I'll also find out who it was that did this to her. As well. He ends up, Tiernan's like, well, if I'm going to do this, what do I get? And I think he gets a certain, not land, but he gets like a part of the business, in the sense of, I don't know how it works with like mafia and gangs and stuff, but he got like a section from them. I don't know how it works, whatever. So he got something in return as well, business wise. So Tiernan does it, and then he starts taking it very seriously and finding out who attacked her, because he starts to very much like her. And it really was a fucking brilliant story. Yeah. I had the time of my life reading this book. You know, I'm not a big mafia book person, mafia romance person, because I get too overwhelmed with all the names. And I think I said this to you. Actually, it wasn't overwhelming at all. No. There was no like, you know, this confusion. Person and that person, and there wasn't any confusion. It was kept simple enough that you understood it, but also mafia enough to make it mafia. It was just a perfect balance of everything: the spice, the plot twists, the MMC, the character development. It was really, really good. He was a really great MMC as well. He was funny.
So great.
Yeah.
Oh, he was so good. And do you know what else? So she's pregnant, obviously, straight away. And normally, pregnancy trope isn't our bag.
Yeah.
Especially as long as it's done properly, we're happy with it. But, like, you didn't really notice throughout the whole thing. Like, it was mentioned because, obviously, I mean, she ended up being heavily pregnant the whole way through. But I loved it.
Yeah.
I really did. And I loved them because they're two very different people, but he kind of really brought her out of her little cage.
He really did, allowed her to shine and allowed her to flourish and allowed her to be her own person. I really loved it. There is a scene, which I think is probably my favourite scene and might even be yours, where she's obviously gone to live with him after they make this arrangement. She's gone to live with him, and he has gone out to find someone to have a bit of fun with, and brings said person back to his apartment. And she, the FMC, comes out of her room and walks into the kitchen. Now, she's deaf, so obviously she doesn't hear it at first until she walks in and physically sees it with her eyeballs. And he's like, from behind, doing this random woman that she very quickly realizes is actually in one of her dresses, or a dress that looks exactly like hers. And she's like, what the actual fuck is going on here? So she stands stunned at first and she's like, oh my God. And she was like, do you know what? I'm not going to fucking run away. I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't exist, like it doesn't bother me. So instead of turning around and clearing off, she just walks over to the fridge, gets some milk, gets her cocoa out, puts it in the microwave, whilst he's obviously still banging this woman against the countertop behind him, against the island or whatever. So she just starts making a little hot chocolate in the kitchen, in the microwave. And when I was reading it, it was like, you could just imagine he's behind her, she's like facing the microwave, and all you can hear is of the microwave going round and round. And then in the background, he's just like this. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, that's how it was reading. And I was like, this is fucking brilliant. And she's just standing there like this, just staring at the microwave.
Do you know what's more funny though? Because obviously she's deaf, so she can't hear anything.
No, I know.
Whereas he's balls deep in this woman and can obviously hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So for him, it's obviously like, and the woman he was banging, because even she was like, oh, should we stop or whatever? Like, this is weird. And he was like, no. And he keeps going. But obviously she's deaf, so it makes no odds to her. So as soon as her back's turned, they may as well not be there. She's not
no idea.
No fucking clue. But obviously for him and her, the woman he's banging, it's just obviously the sound of the microwave and then the skin slapping or whatever. And and then she turns around and then she's sort of like, she gets her cup. And I think if I remember rightly, she sort of cheers him with the cup. She does that thing and then leaves.
Have a good night.
Yeah. It was so funny. I loved that scene. It was brilliant.
So that actually wasn't my favourite scene, but that was a really good scene. So my favourite scene, because he has got like an issue with the idea of doing a woman properly because of past trauma. So he only does them in the booty hole or in their mouth. But obviously where they're slowly falling in love. So they're at her parents' house.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah. So good. So they're at her parents' house and they end up in the bathroom and they just have like a little kiss. Like he doesn't even kiss anyone, but they end up having this little kiss and it ends up getting really heated. She says, can we take this to my bedroom? So they end up going, bearing in mind the whole family are literally just downstairs, like dinner's being served. So they go up to her bedroom and he walks in and it's like a fucking child's bedroom. Like it's pink. There's teddies everywhere.
Yeah.
Like it's utter carnage. And he's like, I'm not focusing on all that. I want her. Anyway, so they end up doing it for the first time. But he's like, let yourself go. Like, be as loud as you want. Don't give a shit about them downstairs. You just let it all out. So they're both proper going for it. Like, headboard is banging, like all this stuff. So when they finish, she doesn't even like sort herself out. She's like, she just goes downstairs. Her hair is literally everywhere. He was like, he literally says, I mean, she looks like she's been banged. But I mean, she just sits down at the dinner table.
And everyone turns around.
Everyone knows what's going on. I think it was her brother, Enzo, makes her like a comment about it. But they both like just like, because she can't hear anyone. So she doesn't know that they're having this conversation at the dinner table. But they all know that they've just banged. And then he ends up basically outing it. Tiernan is like, says something about them doing it upstairs, and then the mum kicks off and he turns around and says something to the mum, and I wish I got the quote down because I was like, yes, basically saying, if you mention my wife again, I will off you. Okay, should we do some rating?
Absolutely. What did you give it stars?
I gave it a 5.
Yeah, I also gave it 5 stars. I fucking loved
it up. So good.
I eyeballed this, by the way. I did not audio it, so I can't comment on what the audio book is like, but the physically reading it with your eyeballs, just as good. I can only imagine that audioing it would heighten it.
And then Chili Peppers.
I can't remember what I gave it.
I gave it a 2.5 because it wasn't Ramo with it, because she got assaulted, and then after that it was kind of them progressing
slowly
into
coming together,
their relationship. So it wasn't like full of it, but when it did happen, I was just so happy.
Yeah, I can't remember what I gave it, but I would say 2.5 to 3 as well. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we've done everything. So it's definitely a longer one today. We were going to have a cake break in between, but we ended up just fucking rattling through all the books, didn't we? We just forgot about it. I can't believe I've made my coffee last the whole of this podcast. Obviously, by the time you watch it, it'll be condensed down and it may be like an hour and a bit, but actually it's probably taken us like 2 and a bit hours to film it.
2.5 hours we've been doing this for.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a long one. we're going to do another podcast now, which is going to be a bonus episode. And you're only going to hear this statement if we actually manage to get it up anytime soon. If it can't be edited anytime soon, this will be removed. Yeah, so we're going to do a 12 for 12 now, which will make more sense if you listen to that podcast. So, and we'll do our cake break in that one as well. Hopefully next time we won't forget our cake break, because I actually really want a cake now.
I'm excited.
I think we've actually got pastries.
Maybe we should make another tea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually quite early here today, which is why we've got a coffee and a tea. We started this morning. It is now 2 p.m. and we started earlier this morning. Tia arrived about 20 to 11, something like that. Yeah. Which is why we don't have alcoholic beveraginos.
Beveraginis. Although we could now.
Yeah.
We could now with a cake break.
Absolutely, we could. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see you on the next podcast. Cheers.
Woo! Cheers.
Doesn't clink the same, does it?
No,
when it's not
not
a wine
fun.
glass.